Quiet Apocalypse by Dave Jeffrey, Chapter 7. We're 10 miles out when we come across the body. Until this point, my first hours of freedom have been uneventful. The road we walk upon is the A38, the main tributary to Birmingham, which is currently 12 miles behind us, and now known as Cathedral. The rechristening of Birmingham is based on the nature of its rebirth, though it has about as much to do with righteousness as Margaret Atwood's Gilead. In the city's cathedral, the last survivors of MNGU took consensus and decided to overwhelm a few hearing people amongst their number and place them under the yoke. Thus, the emasculation of the hearing began, but it also gave rise to something equally as sinister: social order at a price. The body, hanging from a nearby lamppost, has been there for some time. It bears the usual vestiges of retribution. Hands tied together above a head covered with a hood of sackcloth, the legs and torso cocooned in swathes of fabric, bound together with electrician's tape. The material is gouged in places where the crows have become too impatient to wait for the wrists to flay under the weight and allow gravity to do the rest. There's a wooden plaque about the effigy's neck, and the single word scrawled across it is both statement and crime: Harbinger. I wink out. There's no longer a street light with a body hanging from it. Instead, I'm back in my classroom, standing by the media wall, watching as a small boy sits at a desk as he robustly colours a circle with a bright orange crayon on stark white card. Concentration has turned his face to stone. His mouth is an inclined hyphen, but the tip of his tongue emerges from the corner of his lips. A red strawberry that almost matches the colour of his hair. Tim Muller's been in my class for over 9 months, and it's during this time that I've learned the intricacies of British Sign Language, or BSL, to use a vernacular. I've managed stage 2 and can pretty much communicate enough with the boy to be able to understand him without an interpreter, although there's always one present to make sure he's not disadvantaged in his learning. I'm destined to be his form tutor for the next 3 years before he moves on, and during that time I will become fluent with frequent visits to Deaf Club where I enjoy a pint and sign away the evenings as I become infused with deaf culture. I wonder where Tim is now, and my heart feels heavy as I think of the effigies hanging from their lampposts and those in trees leading up the cathedral. Harbingers come in all shapes and sizes, all ages, but the mode of disposal is always the same. Retribution is as indiscriminate as the disease that turned mankind into monsters poisoned by hate. Paul's voice intrudes into the memory. "Hi Chris, time to return to Earth." I'm back in the street, looking up at a testament of brutality and intolerance. I shake my head but feel the need to articulate my disbelief of long standing. Why do they blame them? Paul's silent for a few seconds. I figure, like me, he's trying to make sense of it all. When the situation gets as fucked up as this, I guess the world needs scapegoats. There's no proof that deaf people carried MNGU. Paul shrugs, and I get the message before he says it. Since when did facts mean anything? Truth was dying before MNGU. His turn to nod now. Fake news and the anti-vaccination lobby fucked plenty up, right? They walked hand in hand like unlikely lovers. Well, truth's a lot simpler these days, I say. The ones the Samaritans find up in here get the flatbed. The ones who are deaf get the rope. Paul sends a beam of his torch down the street, exposing brickwork and overgrown lawns. Now disputing that. Let's get a few moths on the clock before dawn. As is fast becoming his MO, he walks off without waiting to see if I plan to follow. Our route takes us east for a few miles before veering south. At a point in the journey, my torch splutters and I must stall to change the batteries. Paul pauses ahead and scans the night. but I see nothing more than stars and deep shadow. We turn out to the junction and see a charred rectangle ahead. The light from our torch is putting bright slashes onto the object. We move closer and note that our beams are picking up the edges of cracked and peeled paint. At first, my eyes cannot decipher what they see, and we close in as I make out the warped keys of a piano. Each one so badly burned there's no defining the ebony or the ivory, just the ugly undulating scars of fire. The sight's so incongruent to the setting, like Neil Armstrong making his giant leap for mankind on the lunar surface, only to be confronted by a country cottage. I use a torch to sweep the area. Nearby there are smashed speakers, the woofers pummeled and useless. With them's a guitar turned to ragged oblivion, the wood now in splintered skeletal pieces, disparate, save for the fretboard joined to the bridge by twisted strings. I guess they didn't like the band. Paul sniffs the air. This is old stuff. Nothing to worry about. We walk on. Dawn's putting a grey line on the horizon as we peel off road and into the hedgerow on our right. The field on the other side is a tangled forest of corn stalks, through which we force our way until we are deep within its borders. Paul stops, and the rustling sounds of our excursion are replaced by ragged panting who catch our breath. I dig into my coat pockets and pull free a pack of ibuprofen, palming two and swallowing them dry. My knees a dull throb. The pill's preemptive. That means to ensure I can still walk tomorrow. Paul's by my side. How goes it? I'll survive. Let's just spin it. We need to bed down here for the day. I nod and look about us. The corn stalks create fibrous walls, and I have the abrupt feeling that we are being digested in the belly of a great beast. Paul surveys our hideout. Best clear some space. We move with urgency, using shoulders to collapse the undergrowth. Our feet crushing flat a haphazard square that barely accommodates us in our gear. But it's enough. We both slump to the ground. The spongy floor odd, yet comforting. Paul opens his bag and uses his torch to see inside. Reaching in, he rummages around until he pulls free a can of tomato soup. He pops the lid and takes 3 glugs, his Adam's apple pumping like a piston. His gratuitous feeding habits make me smile. He mirrors my grin after he pours soup from his beard, with a rag that may have started out as a handkerchief. What? It's not like we don't need the Ritz. I delve into my own pack and retrieve a can of beans. Yeah, I guess fine dining's a thing of the past. Your past, my boy. I never had any state of fancy hotel and 3-figure bills to pay. I pause, despite being tired. I'm suddenly intrigued to know more about Paul in the world that was. So what did you have? You mean, what did I lose? I shuffle in my makeshift seat, my embarrassment given form. Paul comes to my rescue as he continues to speak, his tone flat and without vigour. You going to ask her what? Paul's eyes sparkle in the torchlight. Huh? Ask about me, he explains. I've seen the look in your eyes and your mouth flapping like a stickleback in a kid's fishing net. Paul's a mind reader. Okay, you got me. I smile as I admit the obvious. Want to tell me a bit about yourself? Feels like a sort of an interview, but yeah, I'll spill the scene as we walk in the side road. He retrieves the canteen strapped to his pack and takes a few glugs. Then he rests his back against the cornstalk partition. You want to do 20 questions, or do you want once upon a time? We've plenty of time, I offer. But as it's about you, I guess it's up to you how we tell it. He mulls this over and finally nods. Okay, let's get on with it. We could be dead tomorrow. I wish I could challenge his assessment. Will that be as foolhardy as denying there's a fire when you can already see the flames eating your boots? Where are you from? Blackwell, Worcestershire? Town? Village? Social club and a church? I spend more time in one than the other. Which one? Paul laughs. That's a trick question, right? I chuckle, relishing the sound of our mirth. How long have you been on the road? My question douses our merriment. 4 months, maybe more. We set out alone. Yeah, there was nothing to stay for in the end. Sorry. Like I've already said, no one's got a monopoly on loss, Chris. The silence rolls out and I draw it to a close with another question. What did you do before all of this shit? Electrician, own business, mostly contracted work. Construction companies brought in good money, not the sort that put me up in nice hotels. He winks. A peace offering before he continues. You know, there's nothing as eternal as electricity. Nature will be making it long after we've gone. You just look up at the heavens in a lightning storm and everything we ever made seems so damn pointless. Except family, I say. Yeah, family's the thing we do best. But we're also good at fucking that up if we lose what's important. And what's that? The capacity for loyalty. I'll drink to that. We toast the addict with metallic tasting water from our respective canteens. Shall we see if Radio Refuge's transmitting? Paul now has the radio in his hand and cranks up the battery. He settles back using the rucksack as a pillow. I follow suit as we both listen to the static hiss from the plastic grill. It's a sound that will follow me into my dreams.